She told me to fend for myself, so I did. You're an adult. Cook for yourself. I'm not running a restaurant. That's what my wife, Linda, said as I walked through the door after a brutal 14-hour shift. Hungry, drained, and soaked in sweat. No concern, no warmth. Just that cold line, like I was some distant roommate inconveniencing her evening. I'm 32. Been married to Linda, 29, for 3 years. She has 2 kids from a previous relationship, Ryan, 11, and Sophie, 8. When we started dating, it was a real partnership. She worked full-time. We split bills, took turns cooking, handled life like a team. Then came the marriage. Linda scaled back to freelance work, about 15 hours a week, pulling in maybe $800 a month. Meanwhile, I cover the mortgage, utilities, car payments, groceries, everything. Yesterday had been a disaster. 3 tower failures, one after the other. 95-degree heat, equipment dragging me up and down ladders. My knees were torn up, my shirt soaked, and I hadn't eaten since noon. When I finally stepped into the house, hoping for leftovers, Linda was rinsing dishes from dinner. Any leftovers from dinner? I asked, hopeful. She didn't even look up. You're an adult. Cook for yourself. I'm not running a restaurant. I just stood there, stunned. What? I made dinner for the kids at 6. You weren't here. I'm not a short order cook. You don't get to show up whenever and expect a plate. I worked 14 hours straight, Linda. I don't control emergency calls. She shrugged. That's your choice. The kids and I have our routine. You chose that job, and there it was. Everything I sacrificed, ignored. I wanted to say, my overtime pays for the house, Ryan's soccer, Sophie's art supplies, the car you drive, but I didn't. I was too tired. I made a peanut butter sandwich and went to bed. The next week, I ran an experiment. No more asking. No more assuming. I did exactly what she said. Took care of myself. Monday, I went grocery shopping. Bought steaks, nice pasta, things I usually skip because they're too expensive for a shared meal. Cooked for one. Walked past Linda and the kids eating boxed mac and cheese with a perfectly plated ribeye and roasted garlic mashed potatoes. She looked confused, said nothing. Tuesday, I made breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, just for me. Linda walked into the kitchen and asked where hers was. You're an adult, I replied. Cook for yourself. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. By Friday, she was making spaghetti for 3 people. I walked in, nodded, and made myself a grilled cheese. Ryan asked, why aren't you eating with us? Before I could answer, Linda snapped, what's wrong with you this week? You're acting like you don't live here anymore. I looked up from my sandwich. I'm just taking care of myself, like you told me to. She got flustered, called me ridiculous. I asked her to explain. She couldn't. That night, I checked our joint account. In 3 months, Linda had spent $1,200 on clothes and entertainment for her and the kids. When I mentioned needing new work boots, she told me, that's a work expense. Your company should cover it. But when Sophie wanted a $90 art easel, no hesitation, straight from our joint account. 2 weeks later, I sat her down. I feel like an outsider in my own home, I said. I don't feel like your husband. I feel like a paycheck. She rolled her eyes. You're being overly sensitive. I work. I manage the house. I take care of the kids. What more do you want? What do I get from this marriage, Linda? Besides bills? She went quiet. You're a good provider, she finally said. You're decent with the kids. That's it. Provider. Decent. I asked, if I lost my job tomorrow and didn't find work for 6 months, would you still want to be married to me? She hesitated. Just long enough. I filed for divorce that Friday. The call came the next morning, screaming, demanding to know what I was doing. I shouldn't have to threaten divorce to be treated like your husband, I told her. Suddenly, Linda became everything I'd been hoping for. Cooking, hugging, asking about my day, acting like she cared. But I was done. When she asked if it made a difference, I told her the truth. It proves you could have treated me right. You just didn't, until you were about to lose the man paying for your life. Funny how self-sufficient someone becomes when the ATM files for divorce.